Good morning, dear children. Hope you are safe. You are welcome again to another session of our English classroom. Last class, with the last class, we have completed the textbook part 1. So today, we are going to move to the next part and unit number 4 and the first lesson, the jungle air crash. Hope you have the textbook before you and maybe you may be pleased to turn over to page number 117. So you look at the page 116. There you can see a picture of a woman. Have you ever been inspired or motivated by someone in your life? Have you have you got any inspiration from somebody? And who is that? What is the role of inspiration in sharing your personality? So you may be in a very desperate moment, somebody may have given you some inspiration. And if you have somebody, you think of that. And here you look at the picture of the women which are given in page number 16, 116. You look, she is Ira Singhal. And she is the topper in the civil services examination in 2015. She has fought bravely against her disabilities in order to reach this prestigious position. We know that a lot of people around us, some of them may be physically challenged, and some of them may be some other difficulties, maybe financial condition, very, very poor financial condition. And we can see the rise of such stars even from these difficulties. You may have heard such stories through WhatsApp or social media or newspaper or somewhere else. There are no problems in life except those that we choose to consider as problems. It's a very good quotation. There is no problem if we choose to consider as problem except those. What are the problems in our life? We think that it is a problem. We think that it is a problem. Then only it is a problem. And any problem which we consider that it is not a problem, then there is no problem. Life gives us challenges. That's only challenges. Any problem, but don't consider it as problem, it is challenge. It is a challenge in our life. It is up to you to take them as opportunities or problem. It is your chance. You can think it as problem or you can think it as challenge. And if you take it as a challenge, the result will be opportunities before you. There is an experience to you. And that experience give you chances and it is opportunities. Everyone has different issues to handle, everyone, but how we handle them will define what impact you leave on the world. Hope it is clear for you. Whatever may be the problem, take it as a challenge, then there will be opportunities. That means positive effect for you, positive impact in you. Now let us read to the jungle air crash. Here is also a problem. And what is the problem? And how that problem has been taken by a 13-year-old little girl. A 13 only just like the almost your age, and what happened to her, and you can read it yourself. So this is a story that was happened. So if you refer in YouTube, you can see that incident directly from the YouTube. Here you look, it was an air crash. You know what is air crash? Air crash, The accident occurred that we know that 2 or 3 months before, or 3 or 4 months before, I think, there was an air crash at Karipur airport. Do you remember? Almost 15 or 16 persons were dead, and a lot of people were injured during that corona period itself. We happened to see such an air crash in Karipur airport. So let us have that happened in an airport, and here the title gives some indication that this air crash, this accident, this plane air crash, this plane crash, which happened not in an airport but in a jungle. You know what is a jungle? A forest. So which happened in 24th December 1971. So it is a real incident, it's not a story. And there were 92 passengers, and only one single girl was rescued. She was the only one who saved herself from the air crash. So 92 passengers, only one saved, and all others 91 persons were died. And our story is the incident of that little girl, Julian Kopak. That is the author and the writer, and she is describing her own story. So it was a flight 508, Lanza 508. It is a Peruvian rainforest which happened in Peruvian rainforest. Peruvian Marakkadagal, Peruvian rainforest. There happened this mishap. Let us read the jungle air crash. You look, I have always, so who is I? You know that, Julian Kopeck, the author. I have always enjoyed flying. So I like flying in a aeroplane. So that almost you also like. Is there anybody who does not like to fly in an airport? Is there anybody who has already flown in an aeroplane? Is there some of them may have gone visiting to UAE or Saudi Arabia when during the vacation times? Some of you may have gone and you may have visited a lot of places there. So the journey, the experience of journey, that means you may have traveled in bus, car, auto rickshaw, a lot of even trains you may have traveled, but and what is it? A different experience of traveling in a flight, traveling in an aeroplane. So there was. So I enjoyed. Who enjoyed? Who I have always enjoyed. That means I would like to fly in aeroplanes. My mother and I boarded. What's the meaning of boarded? Boarded means boarding pass. Have you heard boarding pass? That means boarded means entered in the flight. Lanza Airlines Flight 50. That is the name of the flight. And as I had just finished secondary school in Lima, so I completed my education or my school education in Lima. That is secondary education. That is your stage, almost 10th standard, 9 to 10th standard. That is secondary education. And after that was completed, I had just finished secondary. So my mother and I, we were flying, and we wanted to spend Christmas with my father in our jungle hut. So father is working somewhere else, and we are traveling to him. So we will know that where he was working. So jungle hut. What is a jungle hut? So there is a hut or a small house made of wood or something like that. It was in a jungle. So we were traveling to my father's workplace. Who is traveling with me? My mother. Okay. Daddy, an ecologist. He is an ecologist. That means ecologist. പ്രകൃതിയുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട കാര്യങ്ങൾ നിരീക്ഷിക്കുന്ന ഒരു ശാസ്ത്രജ്ഞനാണ്. So an ecologist, and my mother an ornithologist. Ornithologist, those who are very like to observe the birds. പക്ഷി നിരീക്ഷക എന്ന് പറയാം. Ornithologist. held professorship at San Marcos University in Lima. My mother, she was a professor in Lima, and we spent a lot of time in the jungle where they carried out research. That's why we spent a lot of time in the jungle when they were carrying out researches. That means these scientists, ഒരു സയന്റിസ്റ്റ് എന്ന് വേണം, ഓർത്തോണോളജിസ്റ്റ്, സോറി ഓർണിത്തോളജിസ്റ്റ് ആൻഡ് ecologist. So that's why they were carrying researches in the jungle. Both of them are related with the forest. Like birds, they are in a they are found, a lot of birds are found in jungles, in forest. So they had spent a lot of time in the jungle. I was sitting in the third row of the seats. Hope you may know that inside the ഫ്ലൈറ്റിന്റെ ഉൾവശം കണ്ടവർക്കറിയാം. Third row of seats from the rear means from the back side, next to the window. So I was sitting in a window seat, near the window seat. My mother sat beside me, and who is sitting? A man we didn't know on the easel. Easel means there was a easel, ഇടനാഴി എന്നൊക്കെ പറയാം. So next there were a man is there. Everything seemed quite normal. It's a very normal flight. There was no problem. The takeoff means starting the plane and flying, ഉയർന്നു പൊങ്ങുക, that is takeoff. The climb over the snow covered Andes. Andes is the name of that forest, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ പർവ്വത നിരക്ക് പറയുന്നത് ആൻറ്റീസ് പർവ്വത നിര. And the climb over the snow, that means takeoff ഇങ്ങനെ വന്നിട്ട് and ഇങ്ങനെ പൊങ്ങി പോകുന്നത്, that is takeoff. And flying over the Andes were normal. Breakfast, it was normal. The smiling stewardess. Who is stewardess? Have you known that some of them will come with you, thank you, they will give us some sweets in a sweet voice. Sir, do you want coffee, water, something like. Somebody will come in the flight, and they are not conductors just like a bus. Some of them will think that, oh, conductor mara. No, it is not conductors. They are stewardess. That means air hostesses. Venus. Steward. What's the meaning of steward? Steward means a servant. Stewardess. That is stewardesses. That means a female servants. And some of them will come there. Then the green jungle stretching east to horizon. So in the horizon, ചക്രവാളത്തിലേക്ക് നീണ്ടു കിടക്കുന്ന ആ പച്ച പിടിച്ച പർവ്വതനിര, that is what. Then the green jungle stretching, നീണ്ടു നിവർന്നു കിടക്കുക, east to horizon. People were reading or chatting. Everyone was in a holiday mood. Some of them were chatting with somebody, and some of them കുറച്ചെത്തി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പ്രയോഗിച്ച് ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല കേട്ടോ. Were chatting, some of them were chatting, അങ്ങോട്ടും ഇങ്ങോട്ടും പരസ്പരം chat ചെയ്യുന്ന. Some of them were reading some books, and some of them are everyone in a. So flying in a flight, it is almost എല്ലാവരും വളരെ just like a holiday trip, and they are in a holiday mode. In clear weather, the flight from Lima, clear weather, the weather was very clear. The flight from Lima to Pucallpa, that's the name where his father was working, is one of the most beautiful in the world. One of the most beautiful. It's a very beautiful scenery around. But 30 minutes after takeoff, but it had to happen after takeoff, 30 minutes after takeoff, when we were over the jungle, still we are above the jungle, the visibility diminished. That means visibility diminished. That means around us we cannot see anything, anything ahead. മുമ്പോട്ടൊന്നും കാണാത്തൊരവസ്ഥ. And then all of a sudden we hit a storm front, and there was a storm, ഒരു കൊടുങ്കാറ്റ്. We have to face storm in front, and this time it was completely different from anything I had experienced before. I had traveled in a flight a lot of times, but this time it was a strange experience. It's a different experience. It was a different experience I had experienced before. അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു അനുഭവമായിരുന്നില്ല എനിക്ക് മുമ്പുണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. It was completely different. It was a different experience, and what broad daylight turned to night around us. Even though it is daytime, around us it was not, because she know that everything, because she is sitting in a window seat and she can see everything outside. You know that. So broad daylight, the daylight disappeared. Daylight, പകൽ സമയത്തുണ്ടാവുന്ന പ്രകാശം disappeared, and around us it was night, turned to night. Lightning was flashing incessantly. So outside the flight, the lightning means ഇടിമിന്നൽ, incessantly from all directions. From all directions there was lightning. At the same time, an invisible power began to shake our airplane. The same time, somebody is shaking. Somebody is an invisible, കാണാൻ കഴിയാത്ത ഒരു power was began to shake. Power began to shake our airplane as if it were a plaything. So it was just like a plaything. ഒരു ഫുട്ബോൾ ഒക്കെയാണ് വിചാരിച്ചിട്ട് അതുകൊണ്ട് കളിക്കുന്ന പോലെ, ആസ് എ പ്ലേത്തിങ്, ഒരു കളിക്കുന്ന ഒരു കളിക്കോപ്പിനെ ഇട്ട് ഇളക്കുന്ന പോലെ. It was began to shake. People cried out. People cried out as objects fell on their heads. So what happened from the heads? സോ മുകളിൽ ഫ്ലൈറ്റിന്റെ മുകളിൽ സാധനങ്ങൾ വെക്കാനുള്ള സ്ഥലം ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കും, അത് അടക്കുകയൊക്കെ ചെയ്യും. പക്ഷേ ഫ്ലൈറ്റ് നിങ്ങൾ തുറന്നു തന്ന സാധനങ്ങൾ താഴോട്ട് വീഴാൻ തുടങ്ങി. ആൻഡ് പീപ്പിൾ ബിഗാൻ ടു ക്രൈ. വാട്ട് വർ ദ തിങ്സ് ദാറ്റ് വാസ് ബിഗാൻ ടു fall? Bags, flowers, packages, toys, jackets and clothing rained down. ഈ സാധനങ്ങളൊക്കെ മഴ പെയ്യുന്ന പോലെ rained down hard on us. Sandwich trays and bags soared through the air. Sandwich tray, that means in front of everybody have a seat, and in front of the seat there will be a sandwich tray. അതിങ്ങനെ പൊന്തിച്ചു വെക്കാം, താഴ്ത്തി വെക്കാം. സാൻഡ്വിച്ച് ട്രേ എന്നാണ് ഇതിനെ പറയുന്നത്. ബട്ട് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നമ്മൾ കോഫിയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഫുഡൊക്കെ കൊടുന്ന് അതും വെച്ചാണ് നമ്മൾ കഴിക്കാറുള്ളത്. ഫ്ലൈറ്റ് പോയ ആളുകൾക്ക് ഇത് വളരെ വ്യക്തമായിട്ട് മനസ്സിലാവും, പോകാത്തവർക്ക് ഏകദേശം ഊഹിക്കാം. ദാറ്റ് മീൻസ് ദർ ബി എ ട്രേ. അതിങ്ങനെ താഴ്ത്തി വെച്ചാൽ ഒരു സ്റ്റാൻഡൊക്കെ ആയിട്ട് ലോക്ക് ചെയ്ത് വെച്ചാൽ ഇറ്റ്സ് എ ട്രേ. അത് ലോക്കിന് ഒഴിവാക്കിയിട്ട് തിരിച്ച് അങ്ങോട്ട് വെച്ചാൽ അത് സീറ്റും വെച്ച് ആരും നിൽക്കുകയും ചെയ്യും. എനിവേ നമുക്കിപ്പോൾ ഓൺലൈനിൽ വാങ്ങാൻ കിട്ടും, കാറിലൊക്കെ വെക്കാൻ പറ്റിയ അങ്ങനത്തെ സാധനങ്ങൾ. 100-300 രൂപ കൊടുത്താൽ വി ക്യാൻ ഹാവ് ഇറ്റ് ഫ്രം ഓൺലൈൻ, ആൻഡ് യു ക്യാൻ പുട്ട് ഇൻ ദ ബാക്ക് സൈഡ് ഓഫ് ദ സീറ്റ്, അല്ലേ? സീറ്റിന്റെ ബാക്കിൽ വെക്കാം. ആൻഡ് ബാക്കിലുള്ള ആളുകൾക്ക്, ഫ്രണ്ടിലെ ഡ്രൈവർക്ക് പിന്നെ വേറെ ഉണ്ടാവുമല്ലോ സാൻഡ്വിച്ച് ട്രേകളും ടീ ട്രേകളും ഒക്കെ, അത് ഫ്രണ്ടിൽ ഉണ്ടാവുമല്ലോ. കാറിന്റെ സീറ്റുമ്പോൾ പിടിപ്പിക്കാൻ പറ്റാവുന്ന സാൻഡ്വിച്ച് ട്രേകൾ നമുക്ക് യു ക്യാൻ ഹാവ് ഇറ്റ് ഫ്രം ഓൺലൈൻ. പീപ്പിൾ were frightened. All people were frightened. പിന്നെ മാതിരി സാധനങ്ങൾ തലയിൽക്കൂടെ വീണ ജനങ്ങൾ ഭയപ്പെടാതിരിക്കും. They screamed and they began to cry and started to cry. Screamed, ഒച്ച വയ്ക്കുക. Outside I saw a sort of bright yellow flame shooting from the right wing of that flight. ഫ്ലൈറ്റിന്റെ രണ്ട് ചിറകുകൾ എന്നറിയാലോ. From right wing there was a yellow flame. ഒരു മഞ്ഞ തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു ജ്വാല, എന്തോ കത്തിപ്പിടിച്ചതുപോലെ ഒരു ജ്വാല. I could see. I was blinded by the blazing light. The light was so bright, അല്ലെ? വളരെ ശക്തമായ. what will happen? എന്താ പറയാ, വെൽഡിനോടത്തൊക്കെ ലൈറ്റ് നമ്മൾ കണ്ണു കടിച്ചാൽ we will be blind. നമുക്ക് കുറച്ചു നേരത്തിന് കണ്ണ് കാണാതെ. So that was what happened. I was blinded, became blind. ഞാൻ ബ്ലൈൻഡ് ആയി, കാണാതെ. By the blazing of the light, that means the brightness of the light. While at the same time I heard my mother saying quite calmly. At that time my mother say calmly, ശാന്തതയോടെ പറഞ്ഞു, now it's all over. No, ഇനി ഇതൊന്നും രക്ഷപ്പെടില്ല. It's all over. An instant later there was a violent shaking. പെട്ടെന്നൊരു വല്ലാത്ത കുലുക്കം. I found myself out the flying. പിന്നെ I was found myself outside the plane. പ്ലെയിനിന്റെ പുറത്തായിരുന്നു ഞാൻ. Flying apart from it. So I was flying apart from flight. ഞാൻ പുറത്തേക്ക് ചാടിയല്ല, ഞാൻ വീണു. ഞാൻ ഒറ്റക്ക് ഫ്ലൈറ്റിൽ നിന്ന് പുറത്ത്. Flying apart from it. Still strapped into my seat. So seat belt is strapped. സീറ്റ് അടക്കം പറഞ്ഞു പോന്നിക്കാണ്. But I was alone and I was falling. ഞാൻ ഒറ്റക്ക്. It was falling. I can remember turning over and over in the air. ഇങ്ങനെ വട്ടം കറങ്ങി പോണത് I could remember now itself. എനിക്ക് ഇപ്പോഴും ഓർമ്മയുണ്ട്. I remember thinking that the jungle trees below looked like cauliflowers. So when I looked, ഈ കറക്കത്തിനിടയിൽ താഴെ കാണുമ്പോൾ the jungle like കോളിഫ്ലവറിനുമായിരിക്കും ഉണ്ടകളായിട്ടുള്ള ജംഗിൾ, കാട് എനിക്ക് കാണാൻ കഴിയുമായിരുന്നു. Then I lost consciousness. പിന്നെ എനിക്ക് എൻ്റെ ബോധം നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടു. ഇനി എന്ത് ചെയ്യാനാ? ബാക്കി കഥ പറയുന്ന ബോധം വരട്ടെ. Okay, let us wait. Let us wait for next day. She is unconscious. We wanted to see what happened next. So let us wait still till she become conscious. So let us bring some water and sprinkle some water on her face, or we can do something, and that we can do next day. Let us wait for to be conscious. So I think there are some questions are given in your textbook. Why did narrator spend a lot of time in the jungle? Why narrator Julian Kopak? Why? Because you know that her mother and their job, and so why they were engaged. You write the answer. And why was there a holiday mode in the plane? Why there was a holiday mode? You know that everything was normal at that time. The takeoff, the breakfast, and people were always, so that is why they are in holiday mode. What happened after light flight took off? Then what happened after flight taken off? What happened? Describe in your own words. You have to write your own words. You just read the story, then write in your own words what happened after flight has been taken off. Then next, another question. Why did Julian's mother say now it's all over? All over, everything is over. Why did the mother say? And she know that. Why did she? We will also know that. Okay, write the answer. And the fifth question: what did the jungle trees look like from above? So she was falling from the flight, and she was already strapped with the seat belt ഒന്നും പോയിട്ടില്ല, സീറ്റ് അടക്കാണ്. She was അങ്ങനെ തകിടം പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുക. At that time she found the jungle. How did she feel the jungle? You know that cauliflowers. Okay, so you write these five questions and its answers in your notebook. In your notebook, not in textbook. And you should write. You should write questions also. Write question number one. Write the answer. Number two is the answer. Before that, you have to write the heading, and also if there is any difficult words as far as much as we have taken. If there is any difficult words, if there are any difficult words, you should write the meanings also. Okay, thank you. We will see you again next. Let us wait for Julian Kopak. She is unconscious now, and next day let us she will say the remaining story after she is conscious. Thank you. Have a nice day.